Our last speaker is Dr. Nikunj Tang, who is a cornea and refractive surgeon and who has the pride of having been a surgical trainer for many in his career and is practicing as a cataract cornea surgeon as SRJ Nethralaya. So he has another very relevant pearl for us. So let's hear him. The best for the last.
Thank you, ma'am, for the kind introduction, and thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. And thank you, ARC team, for letting me show my video. So it has been a wonderful session, and I have learned so many things today. And so my topic is, my video is about a little different topic. At the end of the surgery, when you have done a very good phaco, and there can be an issue with IOL. So it's about intraoperative broken IOL, which can be a nightmare to deal with. So I'm sharing my video here. Hello everyone, I'm going to talk about how to explant a broken intraocular lens, which can be a nightmare to deal with. I have no financial interest to disclose. All cataract surgeons face the situation where intraocular lens comes out broken from the cartridge, or it gets stuck into the cartridge and breaks while separating it. In this case of routine cataract surgery, IOL was getting decentered multiple times during OVD removal. I was confused as I didn't notice any PCR or zonular dialysis. As the IOL was getting decentered again and again, I decided to bring it out of the capsular bag, and during that, I noticed that the haptic was broken. I again checked for the PCR and brought out the other haptic also out of the bag. I need to explant this IOL, so I enlarged my main incision a little bit. I decided to cut the IOL and explant it through the slightly enlarged main incision. After holding the IOL optic using a microforceps with my left hand, I tried to cut the IOL using scissors, but it didn't cut. I was disappointed as we didn't have IOL cutting scissors in the OT, which is designed by Dr. Robert Osher. At that point of time, I was not aware of the technique which I'm going to show in the later part of this video, so I decided to make a sclerocorneal tunnel and explant this IOL. After sclerocorneal tunnel, the IOL was explanted using a visco expression technique. Another foldable single-piece IOL was implanted, but me and the patient were not happy on the post-op day 1. However, patient recovered complete vision at the end of first week. So I did some literature search and tried to find a technique which can be procedure of choice in such scenarios. I found an article in Cataract and Refractive Surgery Today, Europe edition, by Dr. Nick Reyes. In this technique, after bringing the IOL into the anterior chamber, another paracentesis is made just opposite to the main incision. A McPherson's or IOL folding forceps is inserted under the IOL from the main incision, and an iris spatula is inserted above the IOL from the opposite paracentesis. Gentle forces are given from above and below to fold the IOL into the anterior chamber, and then IOL is twisted sideways and brought out using the forceps. In this case, while inserting the IOL, the trailing haptic got stuck into the cartridge, and even after pushing completely, it didn't come out. I tried to separate the trailing haptic using another forceps with my other hand, and while doing so, it broke. So now I have another situation where I need to explant this IOL. After injecting OVD, I made another paracentesis exactly opposite 180 degrees from my main incision. I enlarged the incision slightly on both the sides. It is very important to inject OVD above and below the IOL to protect the posterior capsule and corneal endothelium. I inserted iris spatula above the IOL from the paracentesis and McPherson's forceps from the main incision below the IOL. The forceps ends are kept open to accommodate the iris spatula, and then gently the force is given downwards using iris spatula to get the initial fold in the IOL. After that, forceps ends are closed to get the complete fold in the IOL, and iris spatula is gently removed. This folded IOL is held using forceps, twisted sideways, and brought out from the main port. You have to be very careful not to damage endothelium or posterior capsule by having slippage of the instrument during this maneuver. After implanting another IOL, case was closed and wounds are edited without any sutures. Patient had good vision, clear cornea, and no sutures on post-op day 1. This technique really fascinates me because only instruments which are required are McPherson's forceps and iris spatula, which are readily available in the OT. It is technically a little challenging, but no sharp instruments are used, so it is safer and it is sutureless. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Nikunj. That's a different procedure which you showed was quite interesting to watch. But I wondered whether you could traumatize when you're pulling it out. And the other thing was, I heard somebody, I'm not remembering, was it Mohan Rajan? He said you could make a slit on the cartridge, if it gets stuck, and that releases it, and you don't even have to take so much trouble.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So that would have helped me, but at that time I was also not aware of that technique. But in the first case where IOL was, the haptic was broken, it was actually missed during the injecting, and I actually noticed it while removing the OVD. So sometimes if it is missed during injecting, then it can be, it can be a trouble. So we didn't have a IOL cutting scissor which has a more serrated blade which can cut the IOL. So only way I could, after reading about this technique, this was also my first case to attempt this. Unfortunately, I got the chance earlier that IOL was broken, and I could do it. I have done the similar technique for another plant IOL explantation where hydrophilic lens was put in the sulcus, which was completely subluxated, and so that's why I had to explant it and implant another 3-piece IOLs, and I was able to do it with the same technique without any difficulties.
Yeah, wonderful.
This has been described, I think, before, way back in 1990s, when we were using foldable intraocular lenses, and we were folding them and implanting them with a foldable forceps.
Holder.
Folder.
Those were silicone lenses and they would jump.
Silicone lenses, you had to see more outside, and especially the assistant who used to, stand like this in front of Dr. Dada's table just to see that doesn't jump here and there.
Namrata, at that time you were an assistant.
Yeah.
I think great videos there, Nikunj. I mean, just a couple of comments. I think this is an extremely important point that you drove home, that if the lens is not well centered and if you find the haptic is cut, please go ahead and explant it right away, because I've had in my own centers some of the youngest, because on the table it appears to be reasonably centered. I mean, if it's just a small nick on the haptic, maybe you can get away with it. But if it's cut the way it has, that lens has to come out. There's no way that lens is going to stay in place. And as far as the way in which you brought out that lens is concerned, I don't know whether all of us should do that, because even in this, I found that the iris was tending to prolapse out, and if maybe a bit of iris had got caught, you could have ended up with a large iridodialysis. I think lens cutting forceps and lens cutting scissors, that, as you said, the lens cutting scissors, the only thing is they're serrated and thin. They can go through even a 2.8 millimeter incision. You don't have to cut all the way. Just cut 1/4 and then a hand over hand technique. You can slip it out. And they are available from multiple Indian companies. So I think anybody into cataract surgery today, with refractive accuracy, all those things becoming a necessity, should invest in these two simple instruments, and holding the lens through the side port once it's brought into the anterior chamber, and creating a nick, and then rolling the lens out is much better. Arup Bhaumik told us about some other way of doing it, which even won the grand prize. They're all nice to watch, but I think for most of us, just cutting the lens into 1/4 and explanting it would work well.
So, Nikunj, excellent videos that you have shown, and just as Dr. Ramamurthy was saying, that is a snare that Arup Bhaumik has made that works very well for the Alcon lenses. So it's basically a snare, and you can break it, and he was actually pulling it back into the cartridge where the lens got folded automatically. This can be traumatic at time when you are trying to use the holder folder technique that we used to, what Namrata was referring to earlier. One of the things that was pointed out by Dr. Chitra was that actually at that time when you are stuck, you should actually sacrifice the cartridge. So you can go ahead and actually cut the cartridge. So it's a little tough, but you can cut, and that time you can retrieve the haptic. The second thing is you push the haptic in, because if it is stuck, you should actually keep the haptic out, even if it's a broken haptic. And part of the haptic is out, so half your job is done because you have half the haptic out. And then, as Dr. Ramamurthy was saying, with a forceps or whatever you want, you just slice it into half. You don't have to go through and through. And that is very clear that even if you go beyond the midpoint, you can just actually roll it out through the same incision. So because these lenses are foldable and you can just pull it out and roll it out, that is much traumatic than first pushing the lens in and then trying to grasp it, fold it, and then trying to remove it. So never lose the haptic which is already out, because that is part of the battle, that you have to have a hold. And then with this or with the serrated forceps, you can actually go and with the scissor. And these are special scissors also, as Ram was saying, readily available, and you don't just need to go beyond the midpoint and just roll it out. Half of it will come, and then the second half will come.
Right.
Just
I
one
wanted
more
to add
point.
something.
Yes, Anaga.
Go ahead, Dr. Anaga. Yeah.
Just one more point. This was a hydrophilic lens, so probably it was easier to fold and then remove. Were it a hydrophobic lens, then probably it would have been a little more difficult to do that.
Yes, ma'am. But in the article which I've shown, they have explained it with this technique with the hydrophobic lens only. Well, for my case, it was hydrophilic lens. Yes, definitely. I have not tried with the hydrophobic. Fortunately, I have not get a chance to do that. Yeah.
And especially if it's a high dioptric powered lens, then it will become all the more difficult. It will be
Yes.
too bulky in the anterior chamber.
Yes.
May I add, Dr. Chitra? I wanted to quickly
Yeah,
add.
we have time.
Okay, so one thing is that whenever you do an IOL explant today, you must implant a lens before explanting the IOL. I've started implanting the new lens into the bag before, because it protects like a scaffold. So essentially, once you've kind of brought the IOL up into the chamber, and then you have space and you implant the new lens behind it, that gives you protection for the PC is protected, and you will not end up with many complications. And number two, I think today the instrumentation available is very good. So in fact, for the scissors, don't even have to go through the main port. You have side port scissors and you have a side port forceps. Your main port does not have to open, so that your chamber will always remain nicely formed. And while, as sir said, there are many manufacturers making it, even MST ones which you were mentioning, the Osher ones, I've been using them for many years. The original one, I mean, the full thing costs almost $2,000-$3,000, but they have disposable heads which are just $100, and they last you several cases actually. So you can actually ETO them and use them several times over. And these scissors are very, very good, and they can cut from the side port, so you can go through a 20-21 gauge side port as well. And third thing that, as sir said, that, the iris looked scary. I mean, I was worried that we are going to have an iridodialysis as well. So it's a little unpredictable. These techniques would have been really nice. Plus, you had to enlarge the incision quite a bit.
Yes.
Almost 4 mm was your incision, which is pretty similar to what you did.
3.2 he did.
Huh?
He made it 3.2 only.
3.2, sir, it was.
I understand. I mean, the way you did it looked much bigger than that. But anyway, you did a great job. And however, today, I think we have much more refined techniques to handle it. So this may be a technique which can be an emergency thing when you are out of everything. But otherwise, there are a lot of better ways of, bringing an IOL out in a more refined way, as Dr. Ramamurthy and Maipal sir said. So
even if you have a long vanas or an angled vanas, which has got long lens, even with that, it cuts very well.
yes, you can sacrifice the vanas and finish it.
No, you don't have to sacrifice. It will just cut and come. I mean, with the long blades, that is the only thing.
But it's a nice new technique, and it's good to know it. I mean, at the end of it, I think you showed a very nice way of, you should know these things. It's just like you should know how to do an intracapsular. You should know how to use this. Sometimes you might just have to use it,
You can do it with the vanas, but the problem with that is sometimes the lens tends to twist and turn within.
Yes.
So with the side port, you can stabilize with the help of a forceps, intravitreal forceps, or whatever forceps you have, micro forceps. You can just stabilize it, and with the long vanas, it cuts as well. In fact, going right till the center of your lens, and then you just have to cut a quarter, then you can peruse it out.
That's how I used to do it. But after I got the serrated scissors, I find that it's much better control. I always stabilize the lens with through the side port. And just for those who have tuned in, I think the best is to avoid these problems of optic haptic cut. And the best way to avoid is that whenever you feel that there is some amount of resistance when injecting the lens, please don't force the lens inside. That's most often because the cartridge tip is overriding the optic haptic junction. And that's when the nick happens and a part of the haptic gets cut. So whenever there is resistance, please abandon the procedure, take out the lens, reload, or go on to a next lens, because you may sometimes get away with it, but otherwise, most often that's the situation when there is a nick on the haptic or the haptic gets cut. So if you don't force the lenses inside and it's flowing in freely and create an adequate incision. Now I've often said I've shifted from a 2.2 to a 2.4 millimeter incision because I don't want to force my lenses inside, and things are much better controlled.
Right, sir. When I had this complication, I also did my homework for all the IOL explant techniques. And at that time, I could not get my hands on the serrated Caesar. So I attempted with this. And Gaurav sir said that you need to know more than one or two techniques so that you have a backup plan ready when the situation is not according to the way it's supposed to. So now I have also invested in this serrated IOL cutting Caesar. So that technique works well, sir.
In fact, there was a nice video of Uday Devgan who showed another new technique where he holds the optic at the edge, and with a second instrument like a iris spatula, he just rotates it, and as he rotates it, the IOL gets folded on itself. So you don't need to create a second incision, a side port. You just hold the optic at one side with the IOL holding forceps, and you just use another manipulator, on the side, and you just roll the lens. So as you roll the lens, it kind of rolls onto the forceps and folds onto itself and brings it out. And he showed it for both hydrophobic and hydrophilic lenses, and it was quite amazing to see. I've yet to practice it, but looks really nice.
But will you all agree that the cartridges that are from, if I may say so, from Indian companies, they give a lot more problem as compared to the ones from the international companies?
Absolutely.
They are
Absolutely.
I'm not saying you can't do it, you can do it with them also, but they tend to give a lot more, you really have to sometimes, they're not, the finishing is not that good.
I think the plunger or the soft tip is very soft. So, what we see in the imported injector system, that tip is not this much soft. This is a sponge which we are using, but that is something fibrous sponge or something which has got some strength, and it doesn't, the shape doesn't change when the haptic has to be pushed, or when the force, more force is to be applied. I think that is the reason, because in hydrophobic and hydrophilic lens, the haptic and the soft tip of a plunger, that overrides. And then when it is at the tip of the cartridge, then it gets stuck over there, and then it gets torn. That is the reason why it happens. What I do is, as Dr. Chitra was saying, I cut the tip of the cartridge, because the whole injector system is there, and the haptic is in the tube of the cartridge. So it is very difficult to. So what I do is, I just 3-4 millimeters away from the tip, I cut it with the straight scissor. So at least the weighted part is removed. Then you cut it, slice the cartridge, the barrel which is left, a small 3-4 millimeters barrel which is left, and then you slice it either with the help of a blade or a scissor, and then the haptic comes out of it. That is what I have done in a couple of cases. But the best thing is, if the lens is damaged, cut it from beyond up to the center, and slightly away, more than the center, and remove it. That is the best thing.
So I think I'll come with my concluding remarks.
The Voya cartridges actually come like that, in the sense that the bevel down, there is a slit over there, and you can, in the videos, you can actually see it expanding to allow the passage of the lens. So it's
even the Nitex. Yeah. Even the Nitex, sir.
Yeah. So I think the message is use Indian lenses and imported cartridges.
Yes.
Right.
Most of these Indian lenses.
Yeah, we've been doing it with the Alcon system. We've been using Indian lenses in that.
So we use it for the J&J system, and that works very well. So both Alcon and J&J, the original cartridge, the unfolder system, or with the metal plunger, they are the best. Yes. They don't, they really, I agree with you, Namrata. These single plastic ones, at times they get stuck, and exactly what Nikunj told, they just get stuck there. And then you are in a problem.
So I'll come with my concluding remarks. I think we've done. Brain will get saturated. So it's been an excellent learning webinar. And believe me, this was a difference this time, because I actually went hunting out for the young people, because I felt that there are a whole lot of youngsters sitting there who might be watching IRC webinars and thinking that they could do a lot more. And it was truly a learning for all of us. Such wonderful videos all of y'all showed, one to beat the other. So I think you should help me ensure that I get many more people into the future webinars so that I really bring them to greater prominence than what they already are. Thanks to the expert panel, because without you, this amount of discussions could not have happened. So thank you so much for being there throughout the course of the webinar. And of course, thanks a lot to my very bright co-moderator, Anagha, who, whenever she got a chance, brought in those expert comments of us. Thanks to my ARC team for always being there. Thanks a lot to AIO's administrative office, Kripal and his team, who do a lot for us. Thanks a lot to Sai and Numerotech, because of which you have your inboxes flooded with ARC mails. And finally, we haven't done one thing, Sunil. We were supposed to show the ARC Entode video. We have not shown.
I'll just
yeah, please, you should have done that. He requested. And my very, very special thanks to Entode. All of you should know that the last 1.5 years of ARC webinars were totally sponsored by Entode, and that kind of support which they gave me was just unimaginable. Thank you very much, Entode.
Yeah, and it's relevant because it's Pinocane. I think that's what they're going to show.
Thanks a lot, Sunil. You must all be knowing that he's a very efficient webinar admin, and he's been a big support for me for all the webinars. And finally, I think we owe our thanks to all our attendees who have been a big source of encouragement for ARC coming up again and again with some effort to do better and better. Thank you, everybody.